and welcome to another day on Cornwall Pocket Farm. I've been busy shooting another video which hopefully you'll see soon. It's got many parts to it, but I thought, well, I haven't done a garden tour for ages, so I thought, right, let's kick off and I'll just show you around. The sun is out. It's a little bit windy, but not too bad. So I just thought I would show you what the garden is looking like in, where are we now? The 11th of October, I think. So yeah, come with me and I'll just show you around. Okay, so we start up where we usually do, up by the gate. Oh, there's a big grey cloud up there, but hopefully you can see the fig now is leafing up. I gave the Hardenbergia a really good chop back the other day. It had pretty much finished flowering. It's got a few more flowers out now, but it was all the way over the roof and through the wood store, so that's had a really good hack back. The woodland border is looking mixed. We've had some beautiful daffs and all sorts of bits, so now we've got some poached egg flowers out. Oh, one of my new bulbs has just come out. That, I think, is an anemone. Oh, that is beautiful. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Oh, I'm really pleased that that's come out. Hey, Maggie, come and look at my anemone. Yeah, you interested? Not really, she said. No, not at all. Okay. Well, I'm very excited. That is beautiful. Oh, look at the detail in that. Beautiful. Okay, so that's one of them up. I think there's some, maybe some purpley ones as well, but they're not up yet. Where are we at? The Daphne's got a little bit more life on it. This bed doesn't know what it is yet. Still, well, I still don't know what it's going to be, but hey, we've got a little bit of leafing up on the espalier. Quite a few buds, hopefully for bud burst. But this came out the other day. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is my cardinal red clematis. Rather gorgeous. It's a little worse for wear. It's been out for a few days now, but after its inauspicious start where it got killed and then killed again and whatever, it has taken off this year, so that's really exciting. We've got a few more buds on, a few more leaves and buds on this espalier. Just please ignore the structure in that bed for the minute. It will all become clear when you see the next video, but for the minute it's just standing there while I retrofit something else to it. So the herbs are now starting to get a bit happier, and those are, what are those? They are hollyhocks, and they are taking off. The birds are eating them at the back, the chickens, but yeah, it seems to be happy enough. All the flowers are starting to come out and look jolly around the place. And we've got this sedum here, which is just delightful. Look at that. It's beautiful. I don't know if you can see. It's just the glorious colour. And the geraniums I planted are all in full flow. We've got some new growth on the Camellia sinensis tea plant in that pot as well. So my volunteer tomato plants are doing okay. And the lemon, which was on death's door, as you can see now, it's got new growth. So we've got, there's hope for it. The coffee plant's still looking a bit ill. I don't know whether it doesn't like winter, I don't think, but anyway, we'll see. I've given it a little bit of worm tea and things like that, but it seems to be happier in the shade, so maybe it'll come right. So what have we got down here? Oh, the bay as well. The bay has got lots of spring growth on it. Look at that. So we've got lots of new growth on that, which is rather cool. Herbs along here are perking up a little bit, and we've had masses of flowers on these blueberries, so I'm really hoping for a good crop this year. We had a handful last year, but I only put them in the pots last year. But yeah, there does seem to be something going on. I'm looking in there. That's where some buds have come off. I don't know, is that fruit? No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how these work yet, so we'll have to see. And then there's the structure. The structure is still in construction. This is going to be a bin hide so that you can't see those bins in the conservatory. And on top, oh, excuse the noise, please. On top, we're going to build a kumara planter, and hopefully then the kumara will grow up this fence and then maybe tumble over the other side and take advantage of the sunlight that's on the other side. Go through the kitchen garden, I think, next. So the kitchen garden is looking pretty. There's lots of things that have blown, but I always leave them because I don't know if you can see there, we've got a bumblebee. Hello, bumblebee. We've had lots and lots of pollinators out just recently all over. The brassicas I leave, we're still getting cuts off this for tea and things. There's still lots of food coming out of the garden, but it's also going to flower and everything. And I've still got some, this is a violet cauliflower which is yet to head up. So there's lots of things in different stages. The purple summer purple sprouting broccoli is still going. You can see now how we've got all these purple sprouts. The two large ones that were up against that fence, which you would have seen in the last video, they've come down now. They just got so unstable and they'd finished. And then these smaller ones, the corkscrew one, I don't know if you can see, it's got this mad corkscrew in it, just because it's had no support. And then this one is still flowering well, so we still have pickings off those. The 9-star broccoli, we're waiting for that to flower. It's a huge beast of a thing. It's a wonderful plant, massive, and I don't know what's going on in the centre, but apparently it's supposed to sprout and then you sort of take all the flowers off it and it keeps going for years. So that's that. And we've got another, that's a violet cauliflower, and then I've got my new plantings in amongst as well. So this is chard, just with the magic stone circles that I use around to stop the birds digging them up so much. So there's new plantings in there. There's bits of everything. There's chard somewhere around the back here. Let me just show you. So round and underneath we've got chard here. Some more chard, which is rather lovely. And the chard bed here has done so well. It's now starting to bolt. But we're just still getting some wonderful leaves off there. And again, what's this? This is Dazzling blue kale. The Dazzling blue kale, that's been really good. Again, starting to flower now, as you can see. But again, I leave it for the bugs and the bees and all the rest of it. And everybody seems to be happy. We get some food, so we've got a head coming there. That's a violet cauliflower. And you see we've got plenty of heads on the sprouting broccolis as well. And the chard, that's the Perpetual spinach chard here. This is doing well as well, but I think that looks like it's bolting too. And then we've got some more things going to bolt there. We've got some sprouting broccoli, some spinach which is bolting, and all sorts, and some flowers and all sorts of things, but there's still plenty to eat. The lettuces are just about holding their own against the birds. So yeah, anything that pokes out, they get a bit. And just down the side you see I've got some, what's that? That is beetroot, golden beetroot, just there. So that's golden beetroot in there. And you can see I've planted some brassicas here just recently, but slugs and snails are having their way. I've got some spares, so we'll see how they go. Anyway, we've got more violet cauliflowers. We've had the head off that one. More violet cauliflowers around the corners of Crystal Palace. Oh, and there's another one in there. Another one there, which is going to be soon for picking. And the Cavolo Nero's been doing really well as well. I've put in some more baby Cavolo Nero underneath it, so hopefully that will take over. And I've also planted the beans now along Crystal Palace. So along here there's beans, and along here there's beans. They haven't popped their heads up yet, so just the flowers that have been there, just adding a bit of jolly colour. They're just still there. And again, look at the flowers here. Oh, I think I've just done a snail. Yes, I have. Good riddance. Yes, got ya. So up there the colour is absolutely amazing. It's so vibrant. I got these as little seedlings from a friend, actually. She just had a few too many, so she passed them on to me. And they have been delightful. So that's really nice. The that was Mizuna, and it's gone well over, but you can see now we've got all the seed heads coming through, and this is being mobbed by the greenfinches and the goldfinches because they like the seeds. They come in and eat all that. So I sit in my chair in the morning, have a cup of coffee, watching all the birds coming in. We've got a lot of fantails, wagtails at the moment, and we've also got a lot of finches, so that's rather nice. We've got a few carrots left there. I don't know if you can see them. A few carrots, and then a couple of brassicas. That's a purple. That's a violet cauliflower over there. I think that one is sprouting broccoli, and that at the end there is my new. That little stick there. That's my new step over pear, which hopefully will get away. We've pretty much finished the leeks now. As you can see, hardly any left to harvest, and the ones that are, oh no, those are onions. These are some onions that have been in for ages, but they decided to bolt, and I thought, oh, we'll let them, they'll be pretty. They've been in a while, but they got a bit taken over by the broad beans. I don't know if you can see the broad beans. The broad beans have taken over this bed. It's a broad bean bed now, so the onions, yep, they're just going to be bee fodder now. But we've got lots of broad beans. You can just see at the end here, there's lots coming, but there's heaps inside. We've been picking and having them for tea, and they've been absolutely delicious. So still flowers on and things, so hopefully some more. It is taking over a little bit. They're quite big, these ones. And then down here, as you can see, we've got some more brassicas. Oh, that's the other step over pear at the end there near the post. And then there's just a few random nasturtiums. We've been eating the nasturtium flowers and leaves in salads and things, and they're really quite delicious. And then over this side, I've got some Perpetual, not Perpetual, what do they call, Welsh bunching onions that I'm hoping will bunch in there. They were in the grow pod, but I've reallocated that for something else. So I put them in the ground. I don't know how happy they're going to be. They are starting to flower, but again, I don't mind. Everything flowers at this time of year. Spring, of course, is time for flowering. This is the Tronchuda here, and it is flowering. Now, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do with the flowering Tronchuda, whether I take the heads out, because that, again, is supposed to be Perpetual. It's a Perpetual Portuguese cabbage, they call it. So I might take those flowers out. I think perhaps I'm not supposed to have those there. And that is the 9-star, which is quite magnificent and quite a large beast over here. So again, that should produce florets like broccoli. I think they look like cauliflower but taste like broccoli. So that should do that eventually, hopefully. And you can see we've got some, up there we've got some, what is that? Dazzling blue maybe? That's gone to seed, I think. The rhubarb in the back, that's doing okay. It's fairly new in that spot, so I'm leaving it this year not to do its own thing. And that's my new quince tree, and it's been lovely. It's had these big beautiful flowers on it, which I didn't expect, so that was a really nice treat. So that's doing quite well. And then we've got that little rhubarb over there. Again, that's fairly new, so that's doing reasonably well. I've got a few lettuces under the mesh, of course, because the birds have it. I've got some more lettuce under this mesh, and those alliums, they're actually leeks, those little ones there. They've been in a while, but they've only really started to get on now, because obviously you can see the sun is on the bed, and it hasn't been at all. So you can see now, you see where the sun comes down to, just about there. So it's moving back. So this bed now at the front is getting more sun, which is nice. So we've got a few more brassicas. We've got some celery and some kale in there, Cavolo Nero. So that's doing quite well. And the other thing that's producing quite nicely is my cunning method for avoiding the slugs and snails on the peas. So we've got lots of lovely peas. And no snails and slugs in sight, so that is definitely something I'll do again. In fact, I might even get another hanging basket for the other side. Wouldn't work in summer, it would dry out madly here, it's too warm and hot. But in the winter, being high up, it's in the sun, and yeah, we can grow peas, so that's great. Because the peas that I put down there, there was one that survived, but no longer. No, they've all been eaten. I've got my beans in there, so fingers crossed. We're now doing snail hunts in the night, so hopefully we can keep them tamed a little. I've got some onion seeds in there. Oh, excuse my shadow. I've got some onion seeds in there ready to go again. My last lot got absolutely hammered with aphids. And in there I've got the remainder of, I don't know if you can see that, the remainder of some brassicas that have gone in. Those are my spares really. So, and over here now, potatoes. We've got a few new potatoes potted up, so the old ones have been harvested. So those at least those three, I think maybe that one as well. I did a weed, so I can't tell which of the old ones now. I think that one as well. Those 4 have old potatoes in. The half buckets have new potatoes in, and then this one here has my yams in it. I must mark that, otherwise I'll forget. Food forest is coming on quite nicely. We've got plenty of leaf now. It's all been through blossom, and we've got beautiful leaf on the plum. That's a double grafted plum. And the passion fruit is trying to climb up the plum and away. It's doing quite nicely all along there. The elderberry tree, it's all mixed in with, that's the elderberry tree, and it's mixed in with the passion fruit. So hopefully you can distinguish the two there. But the elderberry's in leaf now, which is good. And down here you can see the New Zealand spinach is doing well. And it does have a tendency to take over, so I might need to knock that back a little. Lemongrass is still alive, and the rhubarb's doing reasonably well. That's been in a second year, so I might have a harvest there. There is actually a land cress underneath there. It likes shade, but that might be a bit too much underneath the rhubarb, so I might move that. I'm thinking of moving it into the corner because it does get a lot of shade there. That would be a good spot for it. And you can see here, these are my wild strawberries, and they're doing very well as well. And there's some more hollyhocks there because they come out onto the pavement. And I'm hoping to get some really beautiful spires of red flowers out onto the pavement. But it looks like I might have some in here too. Banana is doing well. It's a bit wind blown at the moment. It's been so windy recently, so it's looking a bit shaggy. Hopefully it'll calm down, and it's got a few new leaves coming out, so it does seem to just keep going even when it gets shredded by the wind, so let's hope. The grape is doing really well along there. That's all beautifully leafing up. And let's go around. Now we have had so many flowers on these. This is a family planted avocado, so we've got 4 avocados, if you remember, in this small bed, and they're all different varieties, and they're supposed to pollinate each other, but they have been so covered in flowers, so I've got high hopes for some avocados. The almond tree is all coming into leaf beautifully, and we even have mad little leaves on the top of that double grafted apple over there, so that's always usually the last one to leaf up. So yeah, hopefully we get some apples on there. Coming along here, of course the Madame Alfred has been flowering beautifully. I don't know if you can see one of her gorgeous blooms up there. And this nectarine has done surprisingly well. It had blossom all over it, and now it's all leafed up. So yeah, hoping that's going to be good and healthy. Rosemary is going bonkers again. I trim it as I go along really, because I use it in the chicken coop when I change their bedding and change the poop deck underneath the perch. I put a whole bunch of rosemary on there and I clear it out, so I just sort of prune it as I go. I have put in a new, what's that called? Honeysuckle. So I've got a honeysuckle, don't know if you can see it at the end, going up that arch over there. And that was put in last year, was it? So I wanted another one to come up and go over this side and maybe onto the pergola. So I've planted it in there. It's leafing up, so hopefully it's going to be happy. And the olive is just covered in little buds, so that seems to be happy, doing its thing. Strawberries, I think we've got strawberries coming. I've got one there by the looks of things. Hasn't yet been eaten by a slug, although it could happen any minute. All these are new planted, so they may not do brilliantly well, but anyway, there do seem to be quite a few flowers. There's a few weeds in there too. I'll have to get in and sort those out. But Yeah, because I used the compost from the neighbour's grass pile, so it's got quite a few weeds in it. I need to clear that through. And the citrus, lime seems to be doing quite well. Oh, look, these snails get everywhere. Look at this snail. Go over there. Right. So, and we've got some flowers coming on the tangerine, the orange, and we've got nice fresh leaves now coming on the jasmine. So hopefully that should flower. It doesn't look like it's got buds and things. So hopefully that should flower reasonably soon, and that is delightful when it flowers. Around the corner, I've got Jacqueline Dupre is out. New bud coming. Isn't that delightful? Absolutely gorgeous. So she looks reasonably happy and is starting to put out flowers. Turn you around and go from the other angle. The Chilean Guava. You see, it does get some sun at this time of year in the afternoon, so that's starting to do really quite nicely. Oh, something smells delightful as well. Maybe it's Jacqueline. And you see the pond? The pond has got some new growth in it. It's a little low actually. We haven't had rain for a little while. So yeah, pond's looking good. And I have got some new succulents in my gutter gardens. Gifts from various people. So I've popped them in there. So I'm thinking I'm doing it in sort of succulents and things like that. That snow in summer does really well. Any sort of grey, succulenty, drought-tolerant type things. The berry garden and the wildlife area is really sort of starting to become quite wild, which I love. So the wildflowers are all starting to come now. The borage has been flowering beautifully and attracting all the bugs and the bees. We've got some growth on, this is a Worcesterberry. It doesn't look very healthy and happy, but we'll see. You never know. And then we've got the raspberries. The raspberries are starting to come into leaf and they've got plenty of buds. I left some of the canes because apparently you can get summer fruiting raspberry and autumn raspberries on the same plants, on the same autumn fruiting plants, if you leave the canes in and don't take them to the ground. So I took most of the ground and left a couple standing. So hopefully you can see the ones I've cut to the ground, we've now got, they're coming out from the ground. And the stalks that I left, I've got buds off the stalks. So hopefully we'll get something there. Yeah, so it's all a bit wild down here. We've got lots of alyssum and a few random flowers. I don't pretend to know the name of all of these. They were just in a packet of wildflowers. So I need to probably seed a little bit more in front of that pot because I've been walking around there and they seem to have been all dead there. And we've got some buds and some growth on the blackberry. So hopefully we'll get something coming through there soon. That's starting to come into life. And this is a black currant, and it's a bizarre creature. It seems to have buds on it all the time, but they are now green buds, so hopefully we'll get some leaves soon. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, I think. That's the garden in October, the beginning of October. The other place that's looking pretty busy is the indoor garden. We have tomatoes. So these are determinate tomatoes, which mean that they don't get very tall. They should get to about 40 to 60 centimeters tall, bush type tomatoes. So we've got 3 there, and then there's 3 there, and then I've got 2 plants to a pot down there, and they've been doing really well. You can see they're covered in flowers. So yeah, all flowering up. So I'm hoping for early tomatoes, if I'm lucky. And then you can see the overwintering stuff from last year. They're still going. The aubergines are still alive, so I'm living it with them. And there's a capsicum and a chilli. And then these are 3 new chilies, which will be in the indoor garden this year, just starting off. And that's George. That's my transatlantic melon challenge, George. Not dead. she's still alive. I'll probably need to give her a bit of water. She's still alive and she's still trogging on. I've got high hopes that we should pop her in the garden when it gets a bit warmer and we might get fruit. But yeah, she's doing quite nicely. So as you can see, I've got lots of seedlings happening at the moment. There's some in the cold frame, but then I've also got some more tomatoes in here. There's a whole bunch of seedlings down there that need potting on. That's the next from the last tranche. And then these are new seedlings just done, which are waiting to poke through and start growing. So yeah, all go. Those are some of our potatoes from the last potato harvest, just drying off in here before they go into the kitchen. In here, this is an old catering container, which I just drilled holes in. I've got some little seedlings starting in there too. So they're rocket and spinach, I think, in there. So yes, all growing nicely in here, and very soon to go out into the garden. I think we're starting to get warm enough that I'm thinking, yeah, I might put the tomatoes out now. So, or in the next couple of weeks they might go out. They're just waiting for the secret project which I'm working on in the garden, the frame that you saw earlier on. Anyway, that video will be coming out soon, hopefully. Anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.